Okay, so today we are talking about los verbos con cambios ortográficos. Orthographic changes are spelling changes. And there are three types of verbs, those that end in GAR, CAR, and ZAR in Spanish, that have cambios ortográficos en el pretérito. Okay, a couple things to note in the box here, pieces of information that are important. There's a spelling change in the yo form only, so that makes it nice. There's only one place to worry about it. And secondly, the change is due to the accented E following a G, C, or Z in the verb. And that would be obviously how you would naturally want to conjugate those verbs, is after the Z or the C or whatever it is. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is talk about those verbs that change in the CAR form. Okay, so we are going to focus first on those GAR verbs and what happens here with those. Okay, so normally we'd have the verb llegar, to arrive, and if we were going to conjugate it normally in the preterite, we would cut off the AR, we would add an E with an accent. Well, here's the problem. That E with the accent, when you say the word llegar to start with, llegar, that G has a hard sound. As soon as you put that accented E behind the G, it makes that G a soft sound. So that word now sounds like yehe. Okay, which is not right. So in Spanish, what they decided to do was they figured out that they needed to put another letter between the G and the U, or the G and the E, so that it wouldn't have that effect on the G. So they dropped a U in there. So now the new stem is LLEG, same as before. Put the U in, then add the E with the accent. Now remember, this is only happening in the yo form, okay? And because the yo form is that only form that has that accented E with it. So there's no other reason for it to happen anyplace else, just that yo form, okay? So keep that in mind as you're working on this. Look at the next verb, pagar, okay? Normally, again, you would cut off the AR, you'd be left with PAG accented E. Same problem though, that E makes that G soft. It sounds like pahe. You're not trying to say that. The original verb is pagar, hard G. Alright, so same resolution to the problem. Drop the U in between the G and the E, and now you have that separation that's needed to keep that G a hard sound. So it becomes pague, pague. Okay? The next grouping of verbs that we're going to be looking at are those that end in CAR. Now, again, these rules are going to apply to all three types of verbs. So, if you have the verb buscar, for example, you can hear the hard K sound in there, buscar, to look for. Conjugating it like we normally do, you would come up with this word, B-U-S-C-E with an accent. Okay, again, same problem. That E makes that C sound like this, buce. That word does not exist in Spanish. So you need to find a way to keep that C, that hard sound. Well, here you're doing something a little bit different. Instead of adding a letter, you're pulling the C out altogether, and you're adding two different letters to compensate for it. So you're changing the C to a QU, then adding the E behind. So it becomes busque. Okay, busque. Now you have that hard K sound still. And this word now means I looked for or I searched for. Just like same word here, sacar, hard K sound in there. If you change it normally, it would sound like sase, not a word that exists. Okay, so doing the same thing here that we did with buscar. We're taking the C out of the mix completely and dropping in the QU. Still has that hard K sound, which is what we're looking for, sake. S-A-Q-U-E with an accent. Okay? Last group of verbs we're going to talk about are those that end in ZAR. You can see we have a few here, comenzar and almorzar. Alright? So let's start with comenzar. Again, normally, we would drop the AR off, and we would have this word, comencé. Alright? Now, to be real honest with you, and I told my classes this as well, I don't honestly know why we're swapping out a letter here, because the sound is going to end up being the same. You can see what's happening over here. We're dropping the Z, adding a C, and then the ending. But listen to this word, comencé. Now listen to the one with a new spelling, comencé. There's no difference. So I'm not exactly sure what the rationale is behind making the change, but I do know that with ZAR verbs, you see it in every single form, just like with almorzar. We would naturally want to cut off the AR and just add the E, almorcé. They don't do that though. You'll see this, almorcé, sounds the same,